What's going on, guys? Check in.
Chris.
And we are here on the start of a hopefully fun journey.
Hopefully fun. We'll find out in the
Yeah,
long run.
it could get very exhausting after a while.
Yeah.
But this is what we are effectively calling the, looking at it right here, Titanic, the Cinematic Expedition. Now, what this is, let me give you a little background. As you know, when it comes to Titanic, is something that Chris and I are,
Yep.
we really enjoy. We have a lot in common. Actually, one of his very first videos was involving Titanic. Yeah, right. And I was trying to think with the anniversary coming up, want to do something. How do I mark that something a little different? Because it seems like we always have some kind of Titanic thing every year. Just whether we not intended to, it just kind of worked out. So I thought, why don't I actually intend to do something this time? And we thought, I know there's a lot of Titanic films out there, of various quality and whatnot. And I thought, well, it'd be fun to watch these and kind of do a comparison, and see how they rank up each other. And this is over a lot of decades. And I thought it'd be fun for Christmas season because we're going to go over at least 7 films. Let's see, 5 Titanic films and 2 Titanic adjacent films. We'll go over those as they come. But a lot of these. Some of these I've seen, 1 or 2 Chris has seen, some neither one of us have seen. So it'll be fun to go through that. So this is what we're effectively calling Dive 1, okay, or first dive, whatever you want to call it, whatever kind of nautical thing you want to do. And we're going to be talking about from 1943, Titanic. Big surprise, I know. This actually is a German film. And I got some notes here, so if I look down, pardon me. Look at Chris. He's better looking than me. It's 1943. German. This is actually a German propaganda film, and it when I read about that, I was like, well, how propaganda can it be? Then when I watched it, I was like, oh yeah, that's a lot of German propaganda. It's made during World War II in Berlin by Tobus Productions for the UFA. It is the 3rd German language dramatization of the event, following a silent film released in 1912, just 4 months after the sinking, which is pretty crazy. Then the film, and then a British-German film called Atlantic, which I have heard about, which was released in 1929. But this is the first, I guess, major film, or first one actually
like Titanic.
Yeah, first one actually called Titanic. This is obviously an obvious name, and at least 2 other films and TV movies would all have the Titanic name, but it's the first one to do that. Not only that, but it's the first film to incorporate fictional characters with real life characters, kind of fictional plots and
realistic fiction,
semi-realistic,
heavy emphasis on semi.
To combine to make one story, which is interesting. So we won't get too much into it because basically. The Titanic goes on a voyage at 6, the end. That's your plot.
Nothing much.
But what's interesting is, again, it's all in German, but these are all British officers and Americans. And one German guy, which is really weird. We're all talking German, talking about this, one German officer. But the gist of it, the main character, or the point of view for most of this, is actually between 2 characters, kind of.
Yeah.
And the one being Bruce Ismay, of course, the head of White Star, who was always painted as the villain in Titanic stories, but this one even more so, because the whole, it's really between actually Ismay and John Jacob Astor, who of course the richest man in the world at the time. Yeah. Kind of having this whole thing it's all about stocks and
it's a lot of economic. The entire premise is like an economic thing where White Star Line is losing its economy,
or its stock is plummeting.
Stocks are going down.
Yeah, and there's trying to Ismay's trying to find a way to get it to rise. Or I don't know stocks very well, so I can't doing that. But there's a big thing between him and John Jacob Astor. And Astor is basically trying to get it down so he can purchase and own White Star and hype Titanic, and Ismay, he's got investors figure out I can push this, and we're going to be the biggest ship, and the most luxurious and the fastest ship, and that's the whole thing. You're trying to make sure you get to New York on time, over beat speed records, win this was it a green blue ribbon, like it's a race or something. It's really weird.
Yeah, space race.
But the whole point is basically it's all about greed and money, and that's what they're pushing.
Propaganda.
Yeah, and then you bring in this out of nowhere, this German first officer who was replaced because the whatever first officer they had got sick, so they bring in a German first officer. Which again is really weird because everybody speaks German.
Yeah.
But they're talking about, yo, you're the one German officer, and everybody's supposed to be British.
And then there's actually a few, I believe, what was it called? I can't remember. Not heritage. What's the word called?
I don't know.
Race, not race. It's something similar. It's something to do. Anyways, there's different. I can't think of the words. I got on the tip of my tongue. Like there's a Baltic. Cuban person who they all speak German.
Everybody speaks German. And yeah. I equivocate it to 1930s All Quiet on the Western Front, which is, you know, if you know All Quiet on the Western Front, it's, you know, a story about World War I told from the German point of view. However, the Universal 1930 film is done from the German point of view, but everyone speaks English and perfect English. So I mean, if you didn't know that, you're really confused as to these are supposed to be German soldiers, but they all speak English, or British, and so it's like the reverse of that. Mm-hmm. So it's really offsetting. Also, you've got these other subplots, you know, with some love interest. It's just kind of all fluff. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it's all. It
forms a coherent story, but still, it's really all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really that. I mean, it's again, there's like a cute love story, you know, between two of the crew members.
Quite a few.
Was it, you know, Ismay has a wife, or he has a fiance, he's about to get married, he's worried about money, and there's John J. Bastard has a wife who he's, you know, he's falling apart over here, who's afraid of, I don't know, like he's cheating on something. What are you doing?
Oh, sure. My chair broke apart.
This is going wonderful already.
Anyways,
but so there's all of that, and then there's these other, you know, you have the kind of a bit of steerage in some capacity, but it's, I mean, again, most of it is all based on the greed aspect of the British, and that, you know, this whole, like I said, you had the one German sorry, one German officer who was basically, you know, trying to convince, you know, he's berating Ismay for, you know, pushing, because he's pushing the captain to obviously, you know, forget the ice warnings, keep going through. And, you know, the German officer is, you know, oh, you've got to stop this. This is wrong. This is all about. He's basically, you know, the only level-headed, sensible. Yeah, that's what they're portraying him. And, you know, he's the hero, and, you know, everyone else is developed. And it's weird, but it's obviously it's just so right on the nose of what they're trying to do here. So, what are your general thoughts?
It's meh. Okay, it's really weird. I'm gonna do a little bit nitpicking, and the continuity was pretty weird. Going like steerage. A little spoiler.
We're about to watch it.
Exactly. So the steerage is on E deck. So they when they're I don't remember what part it was. I think it was the engine stopping. They go up to like the grand staircase, which is very big.
And first of all, I don't think steerage would ever be around the grand staircase.
Yeah.
Anywhere near, you know, anywhere near first class for that matter. Not at the point. I said, that's what we talked about. The geography of the ship is all over the place. It makes no sense. And really, you only get to see like this one ballroom. That's really the focus of the whole.
Well, in my opinion, it's supposed to be the grand staircase, but it's like way too big.
Yeah, it's the grand staircase, and the fact that it's a staircase. A staircase going to the ballroom. It's not the grand staircase that we all know at this point. You know, that has been studied. Everyone, you know, recognize it. You go to the Titanic Museum, they've got replication. Replication.
Yeah.
Replica of it.
Almost like a 1-to-1.
Yeah, basically. But this is basically, it's a stairway.
Yeah. Stairway ballroom.
The dining room, ballroom. It's the main.
All in that one spot.
Yeah, the main set, and then you have this, you know, kind of generic engine room. And then, you know, whatever cabins, but it's, again, the geography doesn't make much sense. You can't really, and, you know, to be fair, we're coming at this from a point of view where we've seen James Cameron's Titanic,
like the knowledge of hindsight,
you know, and all this, you know, we've seen everything about Titanic's point. So it's like, you know, remember, this is 1943. It's, you know, even though it's however many years it's been since, you know, was it 1912?
Yeah.
You know, people are still finding out stuff about Titanic. Wouldn't find out a lot more until even years later,
until like
decades later. Yeah. So give them the benefit of the doubt. That plus it's also it's a German film, propaganda. So they're not really worried about being factual. I mean, obvious because this is probably to the least factual Titanic film I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, there's where you're always going to have your original characters or people create for these for dramatic purposes.
Sorry.
The actions of certain little things that just don't add up to what what from the film or from the film from the actual event. Them using binoculars. When it was everyone knows that they didn't have binoculars.
They were locked away back. They were locked away back on Southampton or wherever the West one. I forgot, to be honest.
Yeah,
that's the reason why they could not see the iceberg.
I know that's nitpicky, but it's like it's little things like that are just like, ugh. But and also what is interesting, I mentioned too, there was no mention of Thomas Andrews or Molly Brown, which almost every version of Titanic you see
at least introduces those
has those their characters may be grand or anything, but they're at least mentioned. There's no mention. They said most of these, with the exception of Ismay and Astor, everyone else is pretty much a made up character.
Yeah.
Even even then the Ismay character looks nothing like Ismay.
Yeah, it's completely feels completely made up.
Yeah, Captain Smith looks like the devil.
Yeah.
There's a scene where they're basically giving the ice warning, told what's going on, and of course dismissing everything because this ship can't sink. But lighting on him, and again, this is 94. It's black and white. It's German. It's very expressionistic, and the light. But the lighting on him shines on him and gives him these shadows like he is Satan himself because he's got a really pointy goatee.
Very, very, and the actual beard on the side.
Yeah, it's just a pointy goatee. It's really strange. It's you weren't even going for.
He's kind of Satan as a an actor.
Yeah, it's so. That's a little off-putting. And again, coming at it from where we've seen so many things, some more accurate portrayals, it's probably not fair to judge it by that. And again, we understand what it is. It's during World War II, we're trying to tell you, British and America are bad.
But no, it is kind of hard to give it that when we know everything.
Yeah. So give you a little more background on this. Let's see, it was commissioned by Nazi propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels. I'm sure it's really bad German. I can't pronounce.
Goebbels.
With the intent of showing not only the superiority of German filmmaking, but also as a propaganda vehicle which would depict British and American capitalism as being responsible for the disaster. And that's all over this film.
No.
See, German officer Peterson, who was the one German officer in this whole cast that speaks German, was intended to demonstrate superior bravery and selflessness of German men as compared to the weak British and officers. Which, again, it's pretty clear that the British officers who speak German are really come across as incompetent for the most part, or just not as stand up as your German officer. It's right again. It smacks you in the face. Honestly, it's not subtle at all.
No.
A little interesting tidbit here was the original director Herbert Selpin was arrested during production for making disparaging comments about the German army and the war in the East. He was later found hanged in prison within 24 hours.
Oh, okay.
And the film was completed by Werner Klingler, who was not credited. So yeah. Let's see what else here. It had a brief theatrical run in parts of German-occupied Europe starting in 1943, but it was not shown within Germany, ironically enough, by order of Goebbels, in the fear that weakened the German citizens' morale, because they figured, with everything going on, seeing people in distress would kind of freak him out, and didn't want all that, which I find ironic considering that what was going
propaganda.
on. he loves that word.
And he's like propaganda. Shut up about it.
Yeah,
I'll try to.
But I mean, it's interesting. Some of the effects towards the end, the sinking effects are there. I like the lifeboat stuff is pretty cool. I mean, they really show a lot of panic and probably too much overcrowding on the lifeboats. Obviously, in 43, you've got you're dealing with obvious models. The camera, the flooding, you can tell you're looking at a model and it's water rushing. It's not too. Your suspension of disbelief isn't. It really has to work overtime.
Yeah.
It's funny too when they hit the iceberg. It's very anticlimactic. It's like boom! Oh, we hit an iceberg.
Oh no!
Yeah. What do we do? Oh, well, it doesn't matter. We'll figure it out. It's like there's no build up and tension. Because it's just like it just. Oh, there's ice, and oh, we hit it.
And it's not even that big.
Yeah.
It's just like nearly just basically in the ground.
Yeah.
Or water or whatever.
In the groundwater.
So
that was interesting, and of course the sinking is.
It's
funny because everybody's getting off the boat. They're all, and you see everybody's rushing out, and the boat is the Titanic is still level at this point. It has obviously
the bow hasn't barely gone down,
as everyone knows. And I'm sure they would know by then because of all the inquiries and testimonies they had prior to that the boat it took 2.5 hours to sink. So by this point it should be like at least partway underwater. Yeah. No, but still sitting up on top until everybody gets off. And then it just tips up and goes straight down.
It goes really fast too.
Maybe not that fast, but it goes up and then whoop, down. And again, it's interesting because it goes down as a whole, which obviously that's what everyone thought until 1985 when the ship was discovered to be in two pieces. Up to that point, everyone could assume the Titanic went down in one piece.
Which we know.
Yeah, again, hindsight, but it's it's just funny to watch. Everybody, it's like no. Everybody's rushing out like it's sinking, but no, the boat's still afloat. It stayed afloat long enough for everyone to get off, and then
it waited for everyone to get off apparently.
And you have that great moment, almost a great moment, but where the captain says, "Okay, screw it, everybody for themselves, we're done."
And then everyone pauses to hear the captain, and then it goes back to mayhem.
Yeah, the girl's like, "Oh, you've all done your duty. It's great. Everybody for themselves." And all of a sudden, it's chaos bullshit.
Exactly.
And then they'll take off, and they just like heck with it. It's interesting. It really is. Yeah, but yeah, it's a different Titanic movie, definitely. And this is one I was really interested to see because of its history and everything. And it's the oldest. Version that we have. So it's a great way to start. So that is 1943's Titanic. I do have this Kino Blu-ray it's we got on, which is actually really nice. It's full frame. You have audio commentary on here by Golan Stodler, who's a co-editor of Titanic: Anatomy of a Blockbuster. You have the original 1912 newsreel Titanic, which I did watch. It's like 9 minutes. It's basically just showing Captain Smith checking over the Titanic and people getting on, taking off, and then it shows people from the Carpathia fooling around. It's weird.
Where did that come from?
Yeah, it's just here's the Carpathia. Here's all the people. We're all happy. Yeah, it's like they're not showing you, but they're showing the crew, and they're just like laughing and kidding around, and it's all silent, real footage, obviously.
Yeah, because
there's a White Sox promotion line here for the Olympic, which I didn't watch, and then, of course the trailer. Yeah. But it's a nice little Blu-ray. So that is it for our first dive into this cinematic expedition, and we're gonna be watching the ship sink a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
So we're gonna have to, really brace ourselves. And next, and you're gonna be, reviewing this or watching these hopefully the next couple weeks leading up to the anniversary of the Titanic sinking. So, any last thoughts on 1943's Titanic?
Now, before we go back to the boat. I will say, I'm going to finish my thought about continuity. It's very weird, because, again, I was trying to say, steerage went up to, the grand staircase, but they come up from the upstairs, which made no sense.
I don't know, it's an infinite loop I don't know what
it's a portal.
It's all, what they say for Doctor Who, it's all timey-wimey, wobbly, or whatever. I don't know. Maybe it's a TARDIS. Maybe it wasn't Titanic. It was TARDIS. I don't know. But yeah, like I said, the geography made no sense of where they're going and what they were doing. This steerage, and the whole thing of the steerage is all rushing up to be down the grand staircase to first class. This is like, no.
That's not how it happened.
There's no way they would get that far, and we saw them have locked in cages, basically. But okay, my thoughts. Like I said, it's not the best, but it's an interesting watch. Or nothing else, just for historical purposes, for what it represents and history of the film itself. But we'll come back when this is all done towards the end of this, and we'll actually figure it'd be interesting to do our own individual rankings of all these and see what we each thought of the film and be
tier list so sort out.
Yeah, something like that.
So you can do that.
And I have a pretty good idea where this one's going to place. So that is it for now. If you enjoyed it, click thumbs up, share, subscribe, leave us a comment below. Let us know if you've seen 40 Titanic, what your thoughts on it, or whatever the case may be. Or just say hi. We'll always say hi. So until next time, this is Chuck,
Chris,
and we will see you on the other side.